Gopala Astrology channel, where the science meets astrology for common man's understanding. Subscribe and stay tuned to this channel for continued astrological updates. Hello, welcome to Gopala Astrology channel. Today it is going to be a different topic other than astrology. I thought I will make something different today and take a break from the astrology video for this particular week, and would like to introduce the healthy food millets. The reason is this: we are hearing of late a lot of people. If you take 5 people in random who are above aged 40, and then you can see that at least one of them is going to be suffering from pre-diabetes or diabetes or any kind of a long-term illnesses. So the reason for this, we do not know what is going on. So that means something is happening to our body, which we need to really focus on. That means 90% of our health is really connected to the food that we eat. So we are what we eat, right? So whatever exercise you may do, whatever you may take care for your body, it's still important to focus on the food that we eat. So there must be something wrong in the food that we are eating, because 200 years ago, for example, our ancestors, our great grandfathers, never had a problem of BP, that is the blood pressure, the diabetes. Nobody knew what is cancer 200 years ago, in my opinion, right? So that means over a period of time, something has happened in the food that we are eating, and it has slowly progressed into illnesses. Okay, we are seeing youngsters dying out of sudden cardiac arrest, youngsters dying out of cancers, youngsters dying out of diabetes. A 7-year-old small girl can have diabetes. Imagine how bad it is. So there is something that we need to correct back, understand what are the root causes of the problems instead of taking a lot of medicines, medications, and stuffs like that, putting a lot of chemicals into the body. We should eat our food properly. Whatever our ancestors were eating, that is the food that has to go to the body, and that is what is going to give you the relief. In my opinion, whatever medicines that is there, it is there in your kitchen. You should not go beyond that. You should not put a lot of chemicals stuff into the body and get into troubles, and that could be the real reason for a lot of cancer patients nowadays, and then diabetes and whatnot. All right, so in this video I'm going to focus a lot about the traditional Indian millets, especially the few identified by Dr. Kadarwali. I'm going to explain in detail about it and how this food is going to give you the health. All right, stick out to the video, and it's going to be a very interesting video. Please click on subscribe button if you are new viewer of this channel, and kindly support this health activist movement and spread this video to all your friends and relatives as much as possible. We need to make sure people are aware of what is good food. Okay, friends, let's go to the actual video. I dedicate this video to Dr. Kadarwali from India. He has been an outstanding personality in introducing the millets to the modern world. Okay, so what he did is an outstanding work of last 25 years, and then I call him personally as father of Siridhanyas or positive millets. He called these millets, especially the five of them that he chose, as Siridhanyas. Siri means rich. Okay, Dhanyas are the grains. So these are the rich grains that are going to give you the health. Okay, so I'm going to explain each of these, and hats off to this person. And I will tell you, when I adapted this knowledge from Kadarwari, I got a beautiful change of experience in my own health. I reduced my weight, I reduced my HbA1c levels and things like that. I'm going to explain to you. I assure you tomorrow that it is not going to be the same as today if you follow this video and the instructions given, and you will enjoy the health. And I tell you, you will really see that in next 6 months. Suppose I'm talking to a diabetes patient today. If I give them these solutions, you will not go and see a doctor after 6 months for those illnesses if you follow millet diet plan. Okay, that much confidence I can give you. Of course, the goal of this campaign that we are running in Singapore and worldwide is to make sure the people have reduction in waste and reduction in the waist circumferences, then the reduction in HbA1c. This is a very important term that I'm going to introduce tonight, and then the reduction of fasting insulin. So these are the four key technical terms that you guys need to understand if you want to have a very, very good and sound health. Okay, if you are new to these terms, don't worry about it. HbA1c, fasting insulin, and all that. All right. So again, with due respects paid to the father of Indian millets, Dr. Kadirwali, he's a very down to earth and a very practical personality. He is from a very small town in southern India, Andhra Pradesh, and he's a homeopathic doctor by trade. He lives in Mysore in Karnataka. Okay, he went to US, he did research work, and then he returned back to India and started understanding how to put these millets into the practice. Okay, and his contribution is really outstanding because he even tried to improve the productivity, how to grow the millets in a more economical way. All right, so today I will not go to that part of the explanation, but we will talk about how to eat the food properly. Okay, I am not responsible for what you understand, but I am responsible for what I say. The meaning is this: you need to understand that there are a lot of terms that I'm going to introduce in this video. You need to carefully follow and understand them. Okay, so now all the while we have been told to check the glucose level in the body. They will, if you go to a doctor, I'm talking about 4 or 5 years back. Okay, if you find that you are not well, you want to have a thorough checkup of your body. Normally, the doctor is going to check your fasting glucose level, and then they will ask you to take some breakfast or something like that, and then again they will check your random glucose level. So these were some of the specifications in fasting level. If it is normal, means it is supposed to be between 70 to 100 milligrams per deciliter, and all these things. And in the post meal or random sugar level, it should be between 70 and 140. So this was the normal practice. In my opinion, this pricking of the needle and taking all the troubles and understanding what is the sugar level in the body or the glucose level in the body is really obsolete, because you will not be able to really understand if the person is diabetic or not diabetic by doing this simple test. The best way is to introduce the tests called HbA1c testing level. What is this HbA1c test? HB stands for hemoglobin, and whenever you want to do this test, it will give you a beautiful average of last 3 months. Okay, so what is happening whenever you are having glucose in excess in your bloodstream? It is going to get attached to our hemoglobin molecules. Okay, as you see this is a very important slide here. You can see that whenever there is a high level of HbA1c, these yellow dots are going to be more, and then the lower normal body HbA1c level will look like this. This is for layman understanding. Okay, technically, after you get this test done, you will see the results like this. If it is above 6.5, you have the risk of getting into diabetes. Okay, pre-diabetes is between 5.7 and 6.4, and anything below 5.7 is a very normal body. Okay, so these are the guidelines that are given. I'm not saying that if it is above 6.5 it's dangerous. Of course, above 10 is really dangerous. Above 8 is considered quite high level of diabetes. We need to reduce it out, and that's the reason I'm making this video. All right, so now one more term that we need to also know is the fasting insulin level. Fasting insulin also has to be measured 30 minutes before fasting. Once you are hungry, you have not taken any breakfast, you go there and do this test 30 minutes. will give you some amount of glucose into the body, and then they will check it after 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hour, and then specification limits are all given here. Okay, so this is to be taken as a reference to start with. All right, so do your tests, do your HbA1c and fasting insulin, and keep it as before condition. Okay, before you start taking millets as your main food. So that is the baseline. You have to start somewhere. All right, so with that, we need to understand the mechanism of insulin, how it works. It's a beautiful hormone. It's the most important hormone which regulates the glucose in the body, and how it helps in absorption whenever there is an excess. So that is the secret of the whole of the health mechanism in the body. So what do we understand by this? So as the blood is flowing, imagine, okay, we all have 6 liters, 5 to 6 liters of blood in a normal human body, and we need to have not more than 1 gram of glucose for every 1 liter of blood. It's true. If it is more than 1 gram, it is considered very high. And that's how you can see more sugar molecules are here, or the glucose are here, and in the normal it's something like this. So the mechanism of diabetes happens in this way. Okay, there are 2 types of diabetes. I'm not talking about the diabetes type 1. The type 1 diabetes is very, very rare, and that is genetic disorder, and you really need to get chapped with insulin because your body doesn't produce enough insulin. I'm not talking about that category at all. And today, our focus will be more on type 2 diabetes, wherein the cells will start resisting the insulin. What do I mean by this? Okay, so whenever after you take the food, it starts getting digested, and final product of that digestion will be glucose. Okay, and the glucose has to enter the bloodstream. Once the small intestine starts absorbing all the glucose, it enters into the bloodstream, right? So whenever it enters the bloodstream, the pancreas, which is a beautiful organ located just below the stomach, it starts sensing that, okay, I need to release something called insulin, and that insulin gets also into the bloodstream. So along, what is the role of this insulin? Please understand that these are all our cell walls. Okay, we have 1 trillion cells in the human body. All the 1 trillion cells has to survive. For that survive, you have what is known as cell wall. The glucose has to enter. See, the G, what is written here in blue color, is actually the glucose molecules, and I with a circle is actually the insulin. So the G, the glucose, if it wants to enter into the cell to release the energy, it is not just possible, because there will be something called insulin receptors. What are insulin receptors? These are the ones which work like a lock. So only when you open these blue colored locks, the green door is opened in the cell membrane and the glucose can enter inside. This is very, very important to understand. So now, who is the key? The key is actually the insulin. Whenever the right quantity of insulin is released, it enters the bloodstream and it comes in contact with the cells. It is going to unlock. It is going to unlock these blue-colored locks so that the green door opens, the glucose goes in. But if you keep on eating a lot of food when it is not even when it is not even required, what happens? These locks will get tired of insulin that is coming too much. Okay, what they do is they just change their structure, and they will start resisting these insulins. It is something like this. Imagine I have a beautiful good friend, Mr. X. Okay, he is my good friend because I have done a lot of favor to him, and he likes me. And let us say he stays in New York, and I stay in Boston, and I will say, hey, I'm coming to New York for a short period of time. Can I stay in your place instead of going to a hotel? So what he will say, oh, very good, Mr. Gopala. Please come to my place. You can stay in my house. You are my best friend. You have done a lot of good things to me. Please come to me. So he will be very happy to receive me in the beginning, right? Imagine I keep going to New York regularly. and then and then 3 or 4 times it happens that I need to go and stay in my best friend Mr. X house. What happens on the fourth day, fourth time, if I whenever I call him, he says, "Oh, sorry, friend, I am not in New York State now. I'm traveling. I'm somewhere in California now." Right? So he starts resisting me, and exactly the same thing happens to the insulin. And whenever this insulin comes in contact with these receptors, they change the structure of the lock, and this key cannot open it anymore. And this is the term medically known as insulin resistance. So once this happens, the people start getting into the diabetic mode. Okay, that is what we need to reverse it. So that means you should not have too much of insulin in the blood. That's the reason why we check the insulin level in the body. All right. So that's the point. Now, what is the answer for it? For all these diseases, the answer is millets. Okay, millets are one of the oldest foods that is known to human beings. Okay, perhaps it's more than 5,000 plus years. In fact, okay, it has been in fact. All over India and parts of Asia, this food was taken in large quantities because they just grow like small grasses, and it's very easy to grow them. It doesn't need any special water storing capacities and irrigation facilities. It just goes on, and the 2 or 3 rains, torrential rains comes, and within 60 to 65 days, you can harvest the millets. Okay, and that's why it was the very, very popular food in India and other places 200 years back. All right. So before understanding the millets, we should understand the science behind millets, and that's why I have put this slide here. This is a very important slide. You can take a screenshot of it and understand what is the difference between whole grain and the white grain. The millets are the whole grains, the rice and wheat, what we consume regularly, they are known as the white grains. Okay, so how do we understand it? Imagine I have a grain of rice. Okay, if I take a cross section of it, okay, and put it under scope and try to understand the contents, initially, if it is a original rice which is not polished, on the periphery or the boundary of that cross section, I can see about 2% of soluble fiber. It will be there. So whenever the rice, which is in raw condition or a brown condition, when it goes for milleting or going for polishing, what happens? Even that particular 2% of good fiber content also disappears. Okay, and you will be just left out with carbs, carbohydrates. All right. So that is the whole. That is actually the white grain that we are consuming in huge quantities. Okay, whereas the millets are very smart in its internal structure. All right, they are known as the whole grain. This is very important for every one of you guys to understand it. Okay, I call this as the very, very important slide. So what happens in millets is this: whenever you take a cross section of that, whole of the cross section is endorsed with full of nutrient fibers, right? It's very, very important. The whole of the structure is embedded, and when you bring this millet for polishing purposes, even then the contents of the fibers are always there inside. Okay, so it is fully embedded with fibers, and that is what is the big difference between the whole grain and the white grain. I hope I made this point very, very clear. Okay, the normal rice and wheat that we are using is just carbohydrates, whereas the millets that I'm going to introduce you to you guys are having enough amount of fiber contents. Okay, and to what extent it is, I'm going to show you shortly. But this slide actually tells everything, summarizes everything. Okay, if you see wheat and rice are very, very low in fiber content. That means if you take 100 grams of fiber and study the contents of it, it is very, very low level of fibers are found in wheat, and then rice is more worse. Okay, whereas the millets that I'm going to introduce to you, you can see the Barnyard millet, the Foxtail millet, the little millet and the Kodo millet. Sorry. See the fiber content inside this. The barnyard millet has almost 10%. Okay, 10% of fibers. And Kodo millet is the second highest. Okay, and there is one more thing called Browntop millet, which I have not put it here. It's not very commonly exported out of India. Okay, and that has about 15% of fiber content, means you are really eating health. And this one, if you keep consuming more and more cancers, more and more diabetic related issues are going to come. Okay, and that's the reason we should really put this awareness with all the people, and we have to obsolete this white rice and then the wheat. So only when you get out of this wheat and rice, the health is going to prevail in the society. All right, this is what our seniors or great grandparents were eating before. All right, so that's very important. Now, you must know that again, I'm re-emphasizing about the quantity of blood that we have, 5 to 6 liters of blood, and then every liter of blood should not have more than 1 gram of glucose. Sugar is glucose. Okay, so please do not eat too much. You should just you should stick to 2 times a day, and then you should identify at what time you are really hungry. That is the time you should take the food. Okay, and 2 times in a day, every human being get very much hungry, and you should it may be different for different people. Not everybody can have their lunch at 12 o'clock. Okay, so you should follow your body guidelines. Whatever it is telling you, you should listen to it, and then you should take the food accordingly. So if at all you are taking just the plain white rice and then glucose, talking about wheat, it just gets converted and get into the glucose within 20 minutes of eating. Okay, that means every now and then the glucose enters into the bloodstream, and then the body doesn't know what to do with so much of glucose that is coming, because it just needs about 1 gram of sugar, and excess of that is all stored as fat and stuff like that. Okay, your insulin works as a fat storing hormone as well. It's not just introducing glucose into the blood, into the cell walls or cell membranes. It also does the work of converting the glucose into the fat. That's the reason for the belly, the fat belly that we are going to all have after 35 years of age. The reason is you are eating too much of food which is not really required, and the insulin doesn't know what to do. It just converts everything into fat, and it gets stored. Okay, if you keep eating more and more, even that fat will be converted into triglycerides, and then it will also be converted into cholesterol, and all your blood vessels also starts getting into storage of all these unnecessary items in the body. Okay, so now there are a lot of benefits from these millets. I'm not going to go into the details of it here, but I would like to emphasize more on this slide here. Okay, the fiber contents, especially this second column, is extremely important. And you can see what are the millets that you can choose. There are so many millets in the market. If you just go to the shop, a provision shop, and ask for millets, there are many variety of millets. Okay, so what are the ones which we need to choose? We need to choose which are the ones which has the higher fiber content in the cross section, right? So we have listed out Foxtail millet, which has got 8% of fiber. Barnyard millet, it is having 9.8%. Kodo millet 9, and then little millet 9.8, and Browntop millet, which I was mentioning, 12.5%. Okay, it can go up to 14%. So these are the 4 top ones which are very good for our body for daily consumption. All right, whereas the ones which are secondary type of millets, okay, that's why Dr. Kader called them as positive millets. Okay, these 5. And then the finger millet, or the ragi, is also it's a good food. It's extremely good in calcium and things like that. But look at the fiber content. What a big difference! There is 12%, and this is only 3%. All right. So the rest of the millets are all highly glucose content ones, and the fiber content is really very, very low. I'm not saying that we should not eat this, but eat this very rarely. So these top five ones, I would recommend to have this as your day-to-day routine food. When you do this, the health automatically develops in your body. Okay, so I've given this slide. You can take a screenshot of these for those who are interested to know the millet names in different languages. If you are very familiar with Hindi or Tamil or Telugu, etc. So each of these foxtail millet is called Teenai in Tamil, and Kora in Telugu, and Kannada we call it as Navani, right? And different languages. So please take a screenshot of this. Whenever you go to the shop, you just need to ask for this particular thing depending on your geographical location in the world. Okay, so most of these are exported to all parts of the world nowadays, and it's available in which part of even it is in US, it is available. It is available in UAE, Middle East countries, South Asian countries, Australia, everywhere. Indians are exporting these healthy foods. Make sure that you buy more and more so that the demand is created, and the farmers will grow more of these, and then the price will come down significantly. Okay, nowadays, no, the awareness is very less, so people are just eating only white rice and the wheat, and that is why the farmers are not growing it. If you take more and more of these healthy food, the farmers are going to grow more, and the overall cost of the millets will come down. As of now, the millets are more costlier than the rice. All right, there is a lot of difference, and you can see the comparative nutritive values. Protein is really 1.5 to 2 times more than rice. Fiber content, as I demonstrated to you, is about 40 to 50 times higher than rice. And minerals and iron, what beautiful food. It's wonderful food if you eat millets regularly. All right, and then why we are to grow millets, I explained. Even the economy of scales, more and more we consume, we all educated people, we need to consume more and more so that the farmers can grow more, and even ecologically it needs very less water. Okay, water content that is required for growing millets is very, very minimum. Even if you don't have water in a particular place, if it rains for 2 or 3 times, even in that water content it can grow. All right, so that's the reason that we need to encourage more and more millets in our day-to-day diet. Okay, let's also try to understand the direct effect on different parts of the body for those chosen millets. Okay, the Kodo millet is extremely good in purifying the blood. Okay, so anything related to the blood related diseases can be cured when you consume continuously the Kodo millet for about 6 months. You can cure many of the diseases. That's what has been practically done by Dr. Kadir, and you can test this on yourself. Okay, continuously you need to feed on millet for about 6 months and get rid of the rice and wheat from your diet plans. All right, the barnyard millet is extremely good in curing the abdominal organ diseases. Means it can help to detoxify your liver, spleen, pancreas, and other vital abdominal organs. All right. The next one is little millet. This is extremely good for ladies, especially. Okay, those reproductive organs. The in men it can be more of the prostate cancers and things like that that can be cured. And for the women, it is all about the PCOD problems. Anything to do with the uterus can be really, really healed when you consume little millet over a period of time. Okay, it's an extremely good millet. Okay, and then foxtail millet takes care of the nervous system and brain. Okay, it helps to cleanse all the detoxify all the nervous related problems and things like that, and it helps your brain to function beautifully, and even lungs. Okay, this is another point I have not put here. It helps in better respiratory system. Okay, it helps and cleanses the lungs as well. So foxtail millet is a very, very useful millet. All right. So, how to consume them? Now, I have told you the benefits of millets and how to really eat them in a practical way. See, I told you each of these millets are going to be beneficial for each of the particular set of organs in the body. So, to make the maximum utilization and benefits of millets, what you are got to do is every 2 days you need to keep changing it. For example, it's Monday, you start with Barnyard. So the 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, consume only barnyard millet. Okay, once you finish it, and Wednesday and Thursday, you can switch over to little millets. After 2 days, you can change over to foxtail millet. It takes care of your nervous system. The Browntop millet, if it is available in your place, and then the next 2 days you can go for Kodo millet, which helps to cleanse your bloodstream. All right. So each of the whole of the body organs are getting detoxified regularly. Okay. Some people try to mix. Please do not mix and eat. It's not recommended by Dr. Kader. Mixing of millets and all that will confuse the system. You should just make sure you consume each of these variety of millets every 2 days, and then you can change to the next one. So as an engineer, I'm giving you a clear-cut way of storing of millets, whatever is available in your place. Okay, put them in some transparent jars like this so that you can top it up whenever there is the minimum level of inventory comes. And then, because in different geographical locations, some of the millets are not available. Okay, so regularly top it up. When it is transparent like this, you know which particular grain is getting depleted stock and things like that, and then you can go to the shop and buy for it. So maintain a good level of inventory of each of these, and start your millets journey. Okay, so you can make a number of foods, whatever you are being very familiar with. Rice and wheat, the same thing can be done with millets. Okay, if you are if you are a South Indian food eater, you can make millet uttapam. Millet oats and porridge can be taken every day morning as a breakfast. Okay, and so on and so forth. Millet lemon rice, millet curd rice. Wow, yummy! BC Belebath is the recipe in Karnataka, India. Millet pungal. Okay, millet idlis. Beautiful idlis can be made with millets and curd rice, right? So all these things can be made. I'm just showing vegetarian food here. Exactly the same is applicable for non-vegetarian food as well. Okay, so millet plow or the upma and things like that. I'm just showing some examples, but what you need to do is just remove the rice part from your current food, that what you are eating, and replace them with any of the five Siridhanyas or the millets that I have shown you. All right, so beautiful tamarind rice, millet fried rice, and so on and so forth. In this slide, I want to conclude the video with this slide. I was quite lean and slim in 90s and things like that, but over a period of time, as I started traveling worldwide for my work, I started eating a lot of junk food, whatever food, high fat foods I used to take, and I had no choice. All right, I put on a lot of weight. But now, recently, for the last 3 years, I'm practicing 2 meal diet plan with Siridhanyas or the millets, and I really lost 7 kgs in the first 12 months actually, and then now I'm further reducing my weight, and the HbA1c level is really in control. All right, so I can see the difference between before and after. Before, how I was eating a lot of junk foods, and now I have really restricted my meal only to Siridhanyas. All right, so with this, we have come to the end of this video. If you have any questions, please come back to me and in the comment section, and I will be able to reply back to you whenever I have free time. Thank you very much. Please click on subscribe button, and then share this video to all your friends. Thank you.